Stephen Strange, more commonly known as Doctor Strange, is a vastly different character than what we've seen from existing Marvel movies. Unlike other heroes, with the partial exception of Thor, he's entirely magic-based, with punching someone really hard taking a backseat to incantations and sorcery, though sometimes he does just punch someone really hard. So who is Stephen Strange? Let's get into it. First appearing in 1963, Doctor Strange, like many Marvel characters, was born out of tragedy. As a super wealthy, arrogant genius with a goatee, no, sorry, not him. He's a different guy. Stephen Strange began as a world-renowned neurosurgeon and generally considered egotistical prick. Initially, his only interests were in his earnings and material possessions. However, a car accident changed all of this, leaving his body severely crippled, in particular his beautiful George Costanza surgeon hands.
They're smooth, creamy, delicate, yet masculine.
And although they were miraculously saved, they suffered extensive nerve damage. His career as a surgeon was over, and with his unwillingness to take on the role of a teacher or consultant, Strange left the medical industry in search of a cure. After exhausting his extensive fortunes on numerous alternative methods to get the use of his hands back, his search eventually led him to Tibet, specifically to the palace of the Ancient One. A sorcerer who, although flat out refused to cure him, offered Strange the opportunity to stay and learn the mystic arts. Not known to Strange at the time, but the Ancient One had an eye on him for a while, knowing that one day he could be the perfect candidate to take over the role of Sorcerer Supreme. Which he did, but only after several years of training, learning some humility, and assisting numerous Marvel teams with superheroing, something he was initially reluctant to do. As mentioned, Doctor Strange's powers stem purely from magic, a lot of which he draws from numerous magical entities, mainly the Vishanti. Through the use of hand gestures and vocalized incantations, he can also perform various spells. His abilities consist of, but aren't limited to, flight, telekinesis, transmutation, teleportation, alchemy, telepathy, astral projection, hypnotism, and illusions. He's also in possession of multiple magical items, including the Eye of Agamotto, which can perform a range of tasks extending from breaking through any lie or illusion to reversing time. It's very powerful, you shouldn't leave it on a bus. He also has the Cloak of Levitation, which does what the name of it says it does, plus it can operate solely on thought. The Orb of Agamotto, that can peer into other dimensions and show anything that may threaten the Earth. And the Book of Vishanti, which contains the most powerful and secret white magic spells from across all dimensions. Some of the items he possesses you can only make use of if you are pure of heart. Something Stephen Strange managed to do. But without his magical abilities, Strange is reduced to a normal human being whose unstable hands would make him terrible at calligraphy. I mean, calligraphy looks hard though. It's a very specific skill. There's no guarantee he'd be good at it anyways. You know what? It doesn't matter. He's also skilled in hand-to-hand combat, or should I say hand-to-broken hands combat, honing his moves with the help of Wong, his incredibly helpful and loyal monk assistant. As mentioned, because he is just human, like me and presumably you, if caught off guard, he can be susceptible to physical attacks. Like the time Bruce Banner lured him close during the events of World War Hulk and then was like, BAM! Broken hands! Again! He's also left vulnerable during astral projection, can be hurt, weakened, or killed with magical attacks, such as the time he was shot with the gun that Hitler killed himself with, is apparently weaker against science-based opponents, and in the same way that science can't replicate magic, his magic can't replicate any scientific discoveries. Working to his advantage though, through a contest with death, he also gained the ability to cease aging, which also makes him impervious to disease. So unlike many Marvel characters, his age hasn't been retconned, making his birth year still 1930. A Doctor Strange movie in one form or another has been in the works since the mid-80s, with the likes of Wes Craven, David S. Goyer, and Guillermo del Toro all attached at different points. He's also made appearances in multiple video games, not always as a playable character, and various animated Marvel series, such as Spider-Man: The Animated Adventures, The Incredible Hulk, and The Superhero Squad show. He's also the subject of his own animated feature from 2007, and in 1978 there was a Doctor Strange TV movie that was intended to lead into a full series. And it's exactly as good as it sounds. Doctor Strange's villains are only matched in numbers by my inability to pronounce most of them. Chthon, Vishimajoris, Stygyro, Zemenu, Isklior, Dukator Duom, So many. The rumoured ones, however, for the upcoming movie directed by Sinister's Scott Derrickson are Baron Mordo, also a student of the Ancient One, only gone bad, Dormammu, the ruler of the Dark Dimension, an all-round terrifying magical asshole, plus a giant mindless one, whose kind possess no free will of their own, but can be manipulated by others into doing their bidding. Just like that politician you hate from whatever country you're from. Ha! Politics. Stephen Strange has also opposed Thanos with other heroes in his attempts to attain the Infinity Gauntlet and is currently in possession of the Soul Gem, all of which would fit snugly into Marvel's plans for the Avengers 3. Strange, of course, has been referenced in Marvel movies before, being name-dropped in The Winter Soldier and the Orb of Agamotto being present in Thor from 2011. No doubt introducing a character like Stephen Strange will certainly shift the Marvel Cinematic Universe in a big way. The same way introducing the Guardians of the Galaxy expands the MCU off-world. So there you have it. If you'd like to know more about a few other Marvel heroes from upcoming movies, you can find a couple of videos on that on my channel. And if you want to know more about Doctor Strange, then you're in luck, sort of. This Monday's episode of my podcast, The Weekly Planet, looks at all things Doctor Strange, including stories you should read and where the movie might take inspiration from. You can find that linked below or at the terrific comicbookmovie.com. But who would you like to see take on the Doctor Strange mantle? That's another thing we're going to talk about on the podcast, by the way, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, if I missed anything you believe is essential Doctor Strange, please feel free to leave your thoughts below or via my Twitter and Facebook pages, both ending in Mr. Sunday Movies. I would love that. Thanks everyone. Enjoy your week.